Hi, it's time to talk about and rank Phase 2 of the MCU. This one is special because it has both one of my very favorite MCU movies and my absolute least favorite. Without further ado, here we go. At number 6, I have Thor: The Dark World. This is unfortunately the very worst that the MCU has to offer. They had no idea how to use Thor at this time, and it shows because this movie is incredibly boring. That's its biggest problem, being forgettable. I barely remember a single thing in this movie. I remember Loki faking his death, and a villain who I couldn't remember the name of to literally save my life. This movie was such a lackluster way to bring another Infinity Stone into the universe. Once again, my least favorite of all the people on Earth was Jane. I just don't think they wrote her character very well. Along with her, all the Thor's warrior friends or whatever were super boring and forgettable. Heimdall's still great, and Odin and Frigga are still pretty great as well. Asgard looks pretty cool, but it's not as shown off as it was in the first movie. The final fight was okay, the portals added a bit more to the fight, but it still ended up being pretty mid. I like that Selvig was back, and that he had a lasting damage from Loki's mind control because that makes sense. This movie wasn't very good. This will be at the very bottom of my full MCU list, because it's just not good or memorable, and I'm just running out of stuff to say about this shitty movie, so I'll move on to number 5. At number 5, I have Iron Man 3. Now, even though it's at number 5, I don't hate this movie. In fact, I like it more than most people. I really like the idea of the Mandarin, and the twist was pretty cool. Looking back now, with the 10 rings, it's even cooler because there was a real Mandarin out there. I really like the idea that Tony is dealing with PTSD after he almost died during the attack on New York in the Avengers, because that makes sense. He's only human. It should affect him like that. I like that Happy and Pepper had bigger roles in this compared to the last two movies. I like the twist villain and the origin of his villainy being Tony being shitty to him years ago. I like Tony's relationship with the kid, and though it was sweet, it was also very funny. I love when he didn't have the suit, so he had to use his greatest weapon, which is his mind and ingenuity. He got to see Trevor so easily past all the guards because of his makeshift weapons. The final fight was kind of boring with all the suits, it's just another robot fight, but at least Killian was a little different than him. The thing that bothered me most was him getting rid of all the suits just to end up making more suits in the movies after. So I think this is an overhated movie, even if it is not the greatest. I think it's still worth watching. At number 4, I have Ant-Man. My oldest brother absolutely hates this movie. He thinks the whole idea of an Ant-Man is dumb, and, well, that's fair. I then remember it's Paul Rudd who's Ant-Man. That makes it way better. This character would not have worked if it didn't have the right actor to play him, and Paul Rudd knocked it out of the park. He's funny, believable as a hero, and believable as a very smart person as well. This movie was very funny at times. It might be the first MCU movie that I consider a comedy in a way. The technology is also very cool in Ant-Man. I love to see that the Starks aren't the only geniuses in the MCU, and people like Hank Pym exist out there doing different stuff, but also very important work. The cast in this movie is very good, and the van scene cracks me up every time. I really like all the ex-con characters. I thought they fit in very well. The Baskin-Robbins bit was super funny as well. The villain was another clone of the hero, but because of both of their powers, the fight scene still looked very cool. I love how they played with the size and scale of things that could shrink or grow. I thought that this was a very positive movie. Paul Rudd's attitude throughout just kind of keeps the energy that way. Lastly, I think that Ant-Man as a movie and character fit in very well with the MCU, especially at this time. With movies like Guardians coming out a little bit before it, it allowed weirder movies like this to have a place among them. At number 3, I have Age of Ultron. Now for the worst of any Avenger movie that we've gotten so far. Not that this movie is bad, it's just the worst of the 4 that we've gotten. I like this movie a lot, but it still did disappoint me. I really liked all the Ultron stuff, but him just getting taken out was kind of disappointing. Though hopefully the new show, I think it's called Vision Quest, is going to bring him back, which should be pretty cool. He's a great villain, and the fact that Tony made him just makes that even more interesting in the MCU. Hopefully he comes back to live up to his potential. The final battle bored me because it was just an army of faceless robots, which always bores me. I was hoping Quicksilver would be better, especially after seeing him in the X-Men universe, I don't know why I said man. I liked Wanda, though her character completely shifts in the next movie we see her in. One of my favorite scenes is at the beginning where they all try to lift Mjolnir, which is cool. And that's made even better when Vision shows up and easily lifts it later on, which I think helps build trust between them. I really like Vision as a character, and I'm hoping we get to see him up to his full potential eventually. He was kind of like Ultron, just could have been way better. It was also very cool seeing the Hulkbuster and Hulk fight. That whole scene was awesome. Bad guys always know to use Hulk against the Avengers. It's just kind of a thing. This movie wasn't bad by any means, but I wish it was as good as the other Avengers movies. At number 2, I have Guardians of the Galaxy. This was, and maybe still is, the most unique movie that the MCU has had to offer us so far. Before it came out, no one really knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were unless you were really into comics. They had a completely new cast of characters out in space, so there wasn't even a location that you could recognize. This whole movie was a gamble, and it really paid off. One thing that really helped was how funny it was, and that was helped by Chris Pratt tremendously. This was before he was oversaturated and in everything and kind of a douche. Him along with all the other Guardians characters were pretty funny. This is probably the funniest MCU movie to date. They didn't really take anything seriously and had fun while fighting bad guys. The prison scene with the main characters was fun and showed how they could all work together and become really successful. The antagonist was Ronan, and he was boring, but the movie was still great, because in the background we knew that Ronan was working for Thanos, an actual interesting character and villain worth watching. I really like how the team got together, and definitely felt like a dysfunctional family by the end of it. Then the fight, like the dance fight and Groot's sacrifice, were just the perfect finishing touches for this movie. I really enjoy this movie every time I go back to it. And at number 1, I have Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I've been so excited to talk about this movie. This is one of my favorite MCU movies, and for good reason. Not only is it a great superhero movie, but it's basically a spy movie too. There's so much betraying and espionage during the film, I sometimes forget it's an MCU movie. It is so well done. I love the beginning and seeing how Cap is going on these secret missions with Black Widow. He's finally being used correctly as a super soldier. I liked how he met Sam and how they got super close throughout the movie. I thought the scene where we finally see the Winter Soldier and was just so cool. And then how he went after Fury was just even better. The elevator scene is one of the best fight scenes of the entire MCU, easily. I couldn't believe that Zola was alive. That was crazy. And that S.H.I.E.L.D. had been infiltrated by Hydra pretty much from the beginning. Seeing how dangerous S.H.I.E.L.D.'s new ships were in the wrong hands was interesting. It was like the age-old debate of privacy versus protection. I don't think people would want it. Then the next fight, where Steve realizes that the soldier was Bucky, was pretty fantastic as well. Everything about the fight scenes in this movie were fantastic. It didn't feel fake. It looked like they learned how to fight for real. The final operation to take down S.H.I.E.L.D. was great. I loved Cap's speech and the fact that not all the S.H.I.E.L.D. people were compromised. Some of them were still good. I really love this movie, and I expect it to do very well when I do the total rankings. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you do, be ready for Phase 3 to come out next week, and subscribe so you don't miss that. But all in all, have a fantastic day. Bye.